Hey everyone, welcome back to Tired Old Queen at the Movies. Steve's got something fun for us this week that I know you're gonna love. Let's go see him.
Hello, Johnny. Come on in.
Tired Old Queen at the Movies.
Johnny, we hadn't done a Jimmy Dean movie in a while.
Where'd you get that?
I thought we would do Rebel Without a Cause, directed by Nicholas Ray, 1955, starring James Dean, Natalie Wood, and Sal Mineo. Now, Jimmy had risen. He'd gone and done a Broadway play with Geraldine Page, and he had done a lot of live TV, and they took him out to Hollywood, and Warner Brothers signed him up, and he was with Elia Kazan, and he made East of Eden, which we've already done here on Tired Old Queen at the Movies. Elia Kazan's East of Eden, 1955, starring James Dean, Julie Harris, Richard Davalos, Raymond Massey, and Joe Van Fleet. East of Eden was a sensation. Before it even opened, the talk was already out about how incredible Jimmy Dean was. He met with Nick Ray. Now, Nick Ray was a sort of an eccentric director. He was very, very versatile. And he had directed a movie with a great film noir with Ida Lupino and Robert Ryan called On Dangerous Ground. He directed Joan Crawford and Mercedes McCambridge and Johnny Guitar. And he was a sort of a rebel in his own right. Well, he met with James Dean, and he sort of had a second childhood. He loved Jimmy Dean from the moment that he met him.
I bet you're a real yo-yo.
This movie has gone on to have sort of an iconic place in cinema history because it really touched a nerve on teenagers at the time. It's about a young kid who comes into a new neighborhood, a new high school, and automatically he's picked on. And the bullying factor is still going on today, and it always goes on. And this is one of the ways that this movie is so pertinent to today.
Is that meaning me?
Is that meaning me?
What?
A chicken.
Yes.
He doesn't want to be a bad guy. His parents are driving him crazy. His father's sort of a wimp, played by Jim Backus. His mother, Anne Duran, is a harpy. He just wants to fit in.
You're tearing me apart.
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again.
There's a girl that he kind of likes, Natalie Wood, and she's hanging out with the head of the in gang. And they have they keep daring him to do things and tormenting him and beating him up. And he makes friends with this one sensitive boy, played by Sal Mineo, who's clearly a homosexual, clearly in love with James Dean.
Gee, if only you could have been my dad.
You flipped or something. Look. I'll see you in the morning, okay?
He's very, very sensitively played, and Jimmy takes him under his wing, and there's a terrible accident where they are playing chicken with automobiles on a cliff. And the leader of the gang catches his coat. They're supposed to be who jumps out of the car before the cars go over the cliff. And they're old jalopies. This is the 50s. And the other guy can't get his coat out, and he goes over the cliff and he's killed. And it's sort of the first big tragedy that these kids have ever had, and how they face that together, and how they try to bond and form a family of choice based on each other, and a family of love where they're not getting it at home. It's about loneliness and loners and bonding, and those terrible years when you're a teenager and you're not quite sure what life has in store for you or where your place is, and of course you've got all that testosterone, your body is waking up and you're discovering things. And Jimmy Dean had a way of being an old soul in a young body. He was a rebel, but at the same time he was very comforting, and very, for all of his seeming wildness, was very, very gentle.
I'm cute, too.
They go to the planetarium, and they look up at the stars, and they begin to wonder what their purpose is and where their place is in the universe. And it's a very romantic thing, you know. They're beautiful. You're looking at three people at the height of their beauty. They're so beautiful, and their lives are awakening. Their sexuality, their lives are just beginning as they're looking up at the stars and wishing.
I'm just thinking that once you've been up there, you know you've been someplace.
They're looking at the future and a chance to get out and a chance to live.
In all the immensity of our universe and the galaxies beyond,
Dean had been spoiled. He had really been coddled by Nick Ray when they made Rebel Without a Cause. So he kind of got used to doing a lot of bad behavior, which comes off now as brilliant and set the standard for how other actors in countless movies since have performed, right down to James Franco, who did an incredible imitation of Jimmy Dean in a TV movie a few years ago and won a Golden Globe. It was astounding.
And James is king. What's your name?
Martin Landau.
Dean and Brando and Montgomery Clift really changed the face of acting in film. Dean is raw, he had undisciplined, charismatic as hell, bisexual, and that he carries that. He has an appeal for men and women still. I mean, there's a sexuality about him. You want to baby him, you want to smother him in kisses, and he is just as appealing now as he ever was. And he had an appointment with destiny. He never saw Rebel released. He never saw Giant released. The only movie he lived to see released was East of Eden, and he was killed in an auto crash. But the 3 movies that he made show us a genius at work for a short time, a comet who blazed across the skies and left an indelible impression on movie history and where acting is today, and everybody who ever saw him.
Don't you trust me, Plato?
Natalie Wood, Sal Mineo, and the incomparable James Dean in Nick Ray's classic tale of restless youth, Rebel Without a Cause.
Let's all go to the lobby. The popcorn can't be beat.